With every motorcycle I've owned, there's one video format I love doing. That is the 5 things I love about that motorcycle and the 5 things I hate about that motorcycle. And let me just cut to the chase here. I am not going to be making a 5 things I hate about the CFmoto Ibex 450 or 450 MT. And that's no fluff or anything. Again, this is my bike. It's not a media bike or a test ride or anything like that. It's just I can't find 5 things I don't like about this bike, and there's no fluff involved in that. If there's one thing I would say is the questionable reliability of CFmoto. This is my first CFmoto I've owned, so I personally don't know. But what I am going to do for you, and hopefully will be able to help you out, is talk about the 5 things I absolutely love about this motorcycle. And coming from someone that's owned many other high-end adventure bikes, I think this will really help you solidify why is this bike so popular? Why is it hyped up? Again, talking about the features that are packed on this budget-friendly adventure bike. And the number one thing is this right here, this little ABS on-off switch. And by the way, sorry about all the little yellow speckles you see here. The pollen is ridiculous down here, so you're probably gonna be hearing me sniffling quite a bit. I mean, seriously, how many times have we asked the big manufacturers to give us something that simple? The ABS and traction control off with one press of the button. Some people have some issues with it, but you gotta be off the throttle. If you're on the throttle, I believe it's only the traction control will turn off and not the ABS, and vice versa. A little finicky, but again, just cutting to the chase, you have to be totally off the throttle to turn ABS and traction control off. You can be going any speed, but you just can't be pulling any throttle right there. Let's think about the Africa Twin, a bike I love. Like, yes, you can cycle traction control there, but to turn it completely off, you have to actually go into the menu. Yes, you can do it while you're riding, but again, you're navigating through this menu. Like, who wants to do that whenever you're riding? Triumphs, you got to come to a complete stop. Like, come on, Honda, Suzuki, Triumph, give us something that easy. This is game changer. And as crazy as it sounds, but the next thing I love about this motorcycle is this right here, the seat. But as you see, I have the tall seat on here. I made a whole dedicated video about this as well. But even a stock seat, this is hands down the best motorcycle seat I have ever used, whether it be the stock one or again, the tall one. And I know seats will differ rider from rider, but again, if you're a little bit shorter, you'll like the stock seat. If you're a little bit taller, you're gonna like the tall one. And again, the seat is so incredibly plush. I've heard a couple people say it's a little bit too plush for them, but me with my adventure bikes, like I'm going on long rides and I can ride this bike for so long without getting any cramps or pains in my butt or anything. It is so incredibly comfortable. Hands down, the best stock seat on any motorcycle I've ever owned. And next up is the screen. I mean, it is incredibly visible. You might be seeing a few glares right now since we got a lot of sun out and everything, but everything is so visible as far as your settings right down there, your gear indicator, again, your tack and speed, and everything on this you can control while you're riding. Like every single thing. You can go in here and adjust your backgrounds, mess with your music, your custom settings, everything you can adjust while you're riding. And I get why big manufacturers don't let you adjust every single setting whenever you're riding, kind of like your vehicles, most modern ones, like you can't go in there and adjust your home screen on your car or truck or whatever while you're driving. It's a safety issue, but it's totally shocking how you can adjust everything on this while you're riding. But even other than that, that's not the main thing I like. It's just the screen itself. It is so incredibly visible. You have all the information you need. It just feels incredibly high quality for, again, a budget adventure bike. Now, I know this next one can be a little bit subjective. You may completely disagree or agree with me or just be in the middle of the ground, but I think this bike looks incredibly good. It doesn't look like a little dual sport. It doesn't look like a tiny little bike. It actually looks like and feels like a bigger ADV. Not saying it's a massive bike by any means, but you get ADV vibes from it. You know what I mean? You're not going to feel like you're on a budget little tiny bike. I think it looks like a mini Africa Twin. It really does. Really nice lines and curves. Now, obviously, I don't like the neon colors, the pink or the green, so I did take mine off, and I think it looks super good like this. But as far as the overall styling from the front to the sides to the back, I think this bike is gorgeous.
Now, I know this is going to put me over my title of the video being 5 favorite things about this bike, but there's 2 things I have to mention, and that being the power delivery, whatever you want to talk about it, maybe the engine, however you want to class it, just all around power. And then the suspension, which kind of consolidates into riding the bike, how it feels riding it. And even though this is a 450, right, I've owned the 300L Rally and other smaller bikes, but this 450 is almost like that sweet spot for the do-it-all tasks, right? You want to go for a long ride? Okay, you can do it. You need to jump on the highway for a couple miles, couple exits? Yeah, you can do it. Is it going to be the best on the highway? No, it's not, but the majority of us are buying this to go on adventures, right? And I wouldn't blink twice to take this on a ride up to Tennessee. You're talking 10 hours on the highway, or not highway, but back roads and stuff, you know? And then for off-roading down here where I'm located, well, it's pretty much like this, what you're seeing here. It's fire service roads, nothing really drastic or extreme or anything like that, but there are washouts. You can see us bouncing around here quite a bit, and I don't feel that suspension jarring me one bit, and it's not too floaty. It's like that perfect combination right in between. It feels like the suspension when I upgraded my 300L Rally to that YSS suspension. It just feels so good. And I've heard people talk about snatchy throttle. And some people said, oh, it's within a software update. I don't know. Maybe when they came to the US, the software has been updated. But this doesn't feel snatchy whatsoever. Like, it feels so good and just natural. Like, if I just whip it here, like, oh my gosh, it feels so pure and natural with, again, the control of my wrist into the throttle. It feels so good. And that combination of, again, the power, the feel, again, flowing with, maybe it's just my riding style. I'm not aggressive or anything like that. I'm not trying to wheelie. And, you know, I've heard other people doing suspension upgrades and stuff, like, completely unneeded for 99.9% of any of us riders out there, right? Like, the majority of us will be doing stuff like this, maybe the occasional BDR or something, but I just had to throw this bit in here because the power, the delivery, the feel, the lack of vibrations, the suspension, just riding this bike, right? I said it's maybe two things summed up into one, but I probably mentioned like 5 more things. This bike feels so good to ride.
Now, lastly, one of my favorite things about this motorcycle, which goes right in line and why this motorcycle is so popular and hyped up right now, also kind of consolidating everything else we just talked about, but that being the price of this bike, more or less the MSRP of this bike, because it's going to depend on which dealer you go to. Again, I did make a video talking about my out-the-door price. I showed you my invoice and everything, and I wanted to use that as like a database so you can take it to your dealer and show them, hey, this is what other people are paying, and other people are replying in the comments as well. So again, you kind of got like a backbone whenever you go to a dealer so they don't try to rip you off, because I hear some people like get like $9,500 or $9,000, which I think is ridiculous. If you're in that price, like, you got a lot of other options of bikes to choose from. Not saying this isn't worth it, like, still is a great bike, you know, but again, the MSRP, what it is, right around there with your tax and, you know, maybe your little freight or whatever, out the door you should be around 8 max, I think. And at that, like, you're getting a heck of a bike, a total package here. It's a real complete winner for that price. So again, if you're looking at buying one, make sure to watch my video, maybe take it to the dealer and show them like, yo, this is what people are paying. It's right here. You know what I mean? So, and if they try to rip you off, just tell them to get lost, you go somewhere else. You know what I mean? But that is truly why I think this bike is so popular right now, because everything you're getting for the price tag. You really can't beat it. But I'd love to hear from you all. What are some of your favorite things about the Ibex 450 or 450 MT? Maybe that'll be one thing I hate about this bike, is how they made 2 different names for it. I know they got to do it for the States and overseas. They kind of, Honda does it on some of their bikes, like the what is it, the SCL and then the CL, you know? So I get it, but it just drives me nuts, you know? But let me know, what are some of your favorite things about this bike? And I hope my coverage on the CFmoto Ibex 450 is helping you out and you're enjoying it. And if you are, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye now.
You know what? Let me go on and mention this while I'm in this situation here. I think one other misconception about this bike is it is incredibly lightweight. It's a 300L, or it's a rally. It's a little tiny dual sport. It's not. It's still an adventure bike, and it's still heavy. I think
$430. I'm not sure if that's with fuel or not, but then again, you got some bags, you got some luggage. It's, again, the weight of an adventure bike, right? So let me go and get my kickstand down so once we get this big guy over, but it is still, oh mama, it's still kind of heavy. It's not ridiculous heavy. It's not Africa Twin or anything like that, but it is not an incredibly lightweight ADV bike, right? It's not incredibly heavy either, but no, it's not a dual sport. But I don't mark that as, again, a negative or a pro because it's a little bit lighter or it's still heavy. It is what it is. I think some people get the conception that this is an incredibly lightweight bike, but no, it's still a hefty bike.